Hi, I'm Larry Puckett, the DCC guy. Well, once again, it's been a while since my last video, but I have a very good reason for this one. Hurricane Helene managed to get in the way of production. So, in just a few seconds, I'll tell you about my experiences with Hurricane Helene, give you an update on where I am with respect to video production and recovery from the hurricane, and then we'll take a look at some tools that DCC Concepts sent me. So, stick around for the video. Hit that little red subscribe button, and when the little bell comes up, click on it and click all. Now, for those of you who aren't interested in hearing about my experiences with Hurricane Helene, I'll put a timestamp right here at the bottom of the screen, and you can scroll forward to that point in the video and skip to where we begin taking a look at the tools. But for the rest of you, let's go ahead and I'll give you an update on how I managed to get through. So by now, hopefully many of you know, or most of you know, that I live in Asheville, North Carolina. And we took a direct hit here from Hurricane Helene. Matter of fact, on Saturday morning, we woke up without any electricity, no water, no internet, no cell phone service. We were totally out of it, let me tell you. And it took a few days just to get reoriented and get ready to do something, because we couldn't stay here in the house. It was livable, but just barely. At any rate, since we have family elsewhere in North Carolina, we opted to evacuate out. And it took us a couple of days. The gas stations weren't pumping. They didn't have electricity. So by Monday, I was able to get a full tank of gas. And October the 1st, we drove east to stay with my wife's family. And we ended up spending exactly 2 weeks with them. We left here on the 1st of October. We returned on the 15th of October. And actually that worked out fairly well for us, because the day we got back, we had electricity, we had internet access returned, the phone was very good by that point. All of the cell phone towers were back in operation at full speed, and we had some water. Now, it isn't great. It started out as a trickle, and then it became a little bit closer to normal. However, it looks about the same color as a good lager beer. So it's not exactly the cleanest stuff in the world, but they are pumping a lot of chlorine in it. It's not potable, so we can use it for showers, washing dishes, stuff like that. But for drinking, we do have to go out and find one of the FEMA tanker trucks that have been brought in order to fill up containers of water. So at least we can get by with normal daily functions. Now, as far as damage to the house, we didn't have a single bit of damage, knock on wood, and none of our trees came down in the yard, which is another big factor in why we were able to recover so quickly here. Unfortunately for most of the neighbors in my neighborhood, this was not true. Probably 60–70% of the houses ended up with a tree across them, because this neighborhood is Woodland Hills and it is full of trees. And so a lot of them did come down on houses, unfortunately. And they're still literally cleaning up the roads around here and getting the remnants of trees and fallen utility poles, that kind of thing, out of the way. Fortunately, we are located in an area that is well above the floodplains of any streams, and so we didn't see any flooding in here at all. So that's very good. So it was mainly wind damage that we suffered here. So, and there was no injuries at all that I know of. So it's coming back together fairly quickly here. Further out, as I'm sure you've seen, up in the mountains and other areas down near rivers and streams, there's been a lot of damage. It will take months for those communities, if not years, for some of those communities that were swept away to even begin to recover. But as far as things go, I now have full access to all of the basic services. We're getting regular mail and Amazon shipments, all of those kind of things. UPS, all of that is being delivered. So we can get whatever we need, and I can go ahead and start producing videos again for you guys. Also, let me point out, I'm sitting right now at around 49,800 and some subscribers. I'd like to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So we're only talking about 130 of you new guys signing up. So if you're watching this video and you have not subscribed, please consider hit the subscribe button and join the channel. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on to the subject at hand, and that's a selection of tools from the folks at DCC Concepts. Now, this fall they've been sending out a lot of newsletters and emails to folks throughout their subscription list, pointing out all the tools that they have available. So they sent me a selection of a few to share with you. And let me point out, you can get those if you're in the UK. Of course, you can order directly from DCC Concepts on their website. You could get them from Rails of Sheffield and lots of other stockists in the UK who carry DCC Concepts products. So check with your local hobby shop or contact the guys at DCC Concepts and they'll set you up. Here in North America, Kingston Locomotive Works in Canada is one source, potentially. Also, IronPlanetHobbies.com. He has some of these materials in stock already, and I'm sure once you guys ask, he'll be willing to order a bunch more. And you can also check on the DCC Concepts website. They do have a worldwide store locator function on the website, so you can look up the closest store to you if you do not want to place an order. Okay, let's go ahead, and I've got a number of things laid out here on the tabletop. And let me point out, I'm going to break this up into two separate videos. The reason being I've got enough of these to go over with you that it's going to take a while for each one. So today we'll be taking a look at one set of tools, and then in a few days I'll come back with part two, and we'll take a look at the other products. So you'll get a bonus video this week. And hopefully that'll get us over that 50,000 subscriber mark. So let's go ahead and get started. First, I want to start with a look at the Universal Rolling Road Limited Edition. Now, I've been using their standard edition for a couple of years now, and I want to show you the difference between them. This one has, I believe, 12 wheel capability, whereas I think this one here has 10. They come in different combinations. And what do they mean by universal? Well, they have included rollers for ON30, EM and P4, HON3 in scale, HON 2.5, 009, HOE, TT scale, meter gauge, and HON 3.5 gauge. So you have a wide variety of capabilities. Now, how were they able to do that? Well, let me show you. First, everything is packaged in this leatherette covered case. I'm pretty sure that's not real leather. And when you open it up, it's nicely packaged in here. And as you can see, there's an assortment of these various rollers. And then included with it are these plastic spacers. So what you would do if you wanted this one here that I'm looking at is EM and P4 gauge. So you would simply swap that out with the spacers that come already installed. Now this is the 00HO scale or gauge rollers here. Now if you take a look at these, and let me zoom in a little bit for you. So if you look at these, you can see these are actually plated with gold. And they do that to increase pickup. So it's a much, much better pickup than you'll get with the standard steel, and I don't know if those are nickel plated or what, but these are gold plated, so that's why they cost a little bit more. And basically they have these little rollers here. You put the wheels of your locomotive on these rollers and you set it on a piece of track to get electrical pickup directly. And then you're able to turn it on and it will roll in place. And I'll show you how that works in a minute. Now they also include with the kit a screwdriver, and that is used first to undo the screws here and allow you to take these out and change the spacers for other gauges. Now also, for those of you that are using the older Hornby 00 3-rail system, they have this third rail pickup that can be installed on the roller bases to give you that third rail pickup that you will need. These will also work with Marklin AC 3-rail and possibly some other 3-rail setups that will fit these rollers. And there's a pair of those included here. Actually, I think I ended up with 3 in this package. And those third rail pickups get screwed down to a hole right here in the plastic spacer. So that's something that you can do later on. Now what I want to do now is show you how this works. So let me get it set up and then we'll take a look. Now as you can see, I've got these spaced out to match the wheel spacing on this little switcher locomotive right here. And as you can see, these are just sitting right on the top of the rails and they will pick up power directly from them. I have a Digitrax Zephyr over here with connections made to the track with a couple of alligator clips. So let's set this on here. And let me check it, make sure that it's properly, everything is sitting proper. Okay, so I've got the locomotive set on the rolling road, so now we can take a listen and see how it runs. I'll throw it in reverse and throw the brake on. Okay, so what do you use these for? Are they just great for sitting around watching a locomotive run? Well, actually, these come in very handy for breaking in a new locomotive, particularly if you do not have an oval or continuous run type setup on your layout. You can put your locomotive on the rolling road and let it run for half an hour in each direction, and that will help break it in. It will seat the brushes in the motor and make it run a lot better that way. It will also help distribute lubrication amongst all of the gear teeth, and it will also clean out a little bit of flash if there's any. So this is something that most manufacturers do recommend, a break-in cycle with 30 minutes running in each direction continuous, and after that it should run fine. Also, if you're doing any work on a locomotive on your workbench, you can set the locomotive up on the rolling road and test it after you've done any kind of work. So these things are an indispensable part of the hobby as far as I'm concerned. And like so many of DCC Concepts products, it does come with a lifetime warranty, so that as soon as you register it with the company after you purchase this, then you will be covered by their lifetime warranty. Okay, let me put this away and we'll move on to a different product. Okay, next I have a couple of really nice little tools to deal with rolling stock and your wheels. Now first off, one of the things that you need to know is the distance between your wheels needs to be fairly consistent, because if they're too wide, you might run into problems going through frogs. If they're too narrow, your wheels might drop down and tend to derail your cars. So you need to find a way of testing these. Now, there's various gauges available. This is one that DCC Concepts makes. Let me pull it out of the package. And let me say, this is the DCG-BB145. So let's take a look at how this works. Get it out of its little package. So as you can see, it's got a handy little handle here and then a recessed area on this cylinder. And you just slide this between the back sides of the wheels on your rolling stock or your locomotives, whatever, and it should fit in there perfectly if they're to gauge. If they're not to gauge, then it could be tight or it could be too loose. Now this is set at 14.5 millimeters, which is the standard distance between the wheels for HO and for OO gauge locomotives. So as you can see, it's fitting fairly nice and tight on this one here. Over on this side, it's a little bit sloppy. Not bad, but sloppy a bit. So then you can just take and push those together until you get a nice tight fit. So it allows you to first check the gauge, and it also serves as a gauge when you're pressing the wheels together to get a tighter and a better fit there. And for a long time, I have used the old NMRA gauge, and it has a set of cutouts right here on the side that you can slide over the wheel flanges in order to test that. That works fairly well, and it has a number of other usage. This one, of course, you've got the back-to-back setup in there, plus you can use it when you're fitting your wheels together. And let me point out that all of these wheels, and I'll pull one out here, They come with one side that is insulated in most cases. It's got a little black plastic insulator, and you can push these together, rotate them, and slide them apart, whatever it takes in order to get a better fit. So now I've got a very tight fit there. I can then open it up a little bit by twisting and pulling apart, and then it's going to slide on. So it makes it much, much easier to work with than with the old NMRA gauge. Now this DCC Concepts products is called an axle bearing reamer. And let me tell you, these things are indispensable. And these are a DCF-BROO. So this one here is sized for the wheels on double O rolling stock, which are a little bit wider than, I think they're about 26 millimeters, whereas most of the US wheels are about 24.5 to 25.5 millimeters, so a little bit shorter. And they do make a standard HO version for US operations. Unfortunately, they sent me the double O version instead of the US version. So I'm going to have to pick up on that and get an HO version for use over here. And I'll show you that one at some time in the future when we're doing maintenance. But let me show you how these work. And they give you two versions of this. You can see there's one that has two basic plastic spacers here that are like wheels. So that allows you to use this one here with that open area on trucks that might have a solid frame and you're not able to get into it because of something in the way. This one here has the roller in the center, and that allows you, of course, to work on most of your rolling stock. Now, how do you use these? Well, if I could show you real close here, they have a cutting edge built into these, so it's one on each side. And what you do with this is you slide this into the bearings slots on your trucks like that, and then you just give it a spin. And you do that a few times, and what that does is it reams out these bearing pockets so that you get a very clean pocket in there. And then once you take that out and put these wheels back in place, they're going to roll like crazy. And that is just spinning free as you can be. And that's going to give you a very free rolling set of wheels for your cars. And as I said, you get both of these in the package. Be careful when you're ordering these. Make sure that you either get the 00 scale version if you're working in 00 scale, get the US version for HO if you're working in HO scale, and there's an N scale version as well. Anytime you put a new car into service, I suggest that you check the back-to-back distance gauge on the wheel sets themselves and get those set up correctly, and also make use of these reamers and get those bearing slots cleaned out and smooth so that you're going to get very smooth rolling stock. Now, the last product that I want to share with you is a brand new Keep Alive or Stay Alive setup from AE Model, which DCC Concepts has partnered with and are distributing. So let's take a look at these. These are their micro Stay Alives. They are product number AED-SSC.3. And that 3 indicates that there are 3 of these in the package. So now let me show you what they are, because they're a little different than what you might be used to. Okay, so this is a Stay Alive, and I've got this Loc sound decoder to show you for size comparison. So a very, very small package indeed. So what do we have here then? We've got a circuit board encased in shrink wrap plastic, and that contains the controller for the Stay Alive. It has 2 wires, the black and the blue, which is the standard 2-wire configuration for Stay Alives. And so you can use these with just about any decoder other than the Loc sound decoders, the lens decoders, and the DCC Concepts Zen decoders, all of which use the 3-wire type of Stay Alives. And then, in addition to this circuit board, which controls the operation of the Stay Alive, it has 2 of these little capacitors. Now, let me see if I can read these and figure out what rating they are. Okay, they're a 2.7 volt, 0.5 farad. So this gives you a total of about 5.4 volts keep alive. So it's not going to be something that's going to go a long distance for you, but it's going to provide that stay alive capability for you. And when you install it, you can choose whether or not you want to have it set out like this. Lengthwise, you could roll it over like that and put a piece of Kapton tape around it to make a much smaller package. And you can plug it directly into locomotives that have that small JST type connector. I don't think that will fit the soundtracks. I don't know how many other decoders this will fit. Of course, it will fit the AE model decoders, also available on the DCC Concepts website. Of course, you can always clip these off, make another connection to a different type of JST connector, or solder it on directly for those decoders that allow that. What I will do is a follow-up video where I will install these in various locomotives with other types of decoders. Well, that's a wrap for today's look at the first set of products from DCC Concepts that I wanted to share with you. And the middle of next week, I would say Tuesday, Wednesday, something on that nature, I'll upload another video to the channel that you can take a look at a number of other products. These will be small hand tools that the folks at DCC Concepts included in this little care package that they sent me. So come on back for the video. In the meantime, have a great week, have a great weekend, and we'll see you here again with another video from the DCC Guide. Bye now.